playlist and pressing play, and then 5 seconds later being like, I can't listen to this. But especially when I'm starting a book, I make a playlist sort of for the book and then for the character. And that's how I know I'm kind of really thinking about a character a lot, when I'm kind of like, oh, this is an Emily song, this is for my new book I just wrote. And sort of thinking about songs she would listen to or songs that would reflect kind of what she's going through. Right now, what am I listening to? Really good question. For some reason, I started listening to, like, suddenly it just, like, I have sometimes like, my whole iTunes library on shuffle, and an old Billy Joel song popped up the other day, and suddenly I'm like, hey, Billy Joel. And so, like, I've been listening to a lot of that, and like, there's a song about, like, fishermen in Nantucket, and I'm, like, listening to that song while I'm, like, writing, like, my teen... Yeah, my teen romance book, and it just seems to fit for some reason. I don't know why. But I'm also listening to a lot of Passion Pit and Imagine Dragons and Fun.
She's lying. It's all like Britney Spears.
And I mean, I totally own that. Like that too. Always.
Probably said there's 4 directions and 4 directions of the wind and 4 different kinds of windwalkers. And each one sort of has their own personality. I would love to say that I'm a westerly because that's like the rare, cool one, but I probably would be an easterly, which are the swift, tricky, kind of like moody ones, because that's probably more how I am, which now has just been such a wonderful pitch for my personality. So I'll be honest though and say that yes, I would probably be the easterly.
An entire section from the wrong point of view, and have to go back and fix it because I had done it in the wrong point of view, and like have to go back and redo the whole section because I'd done it entirely wrong. But switching characters, I mean, most of my books are multiple point of views, so switching characters wasn't hard. The voices, once you have the voices of your characters down, when you're writing them, that's who you hear in your head anyways, so that part isn't hard.
It's funny, I had sort of forgotten about this until right now, because my first offer came in as a preempt. So before we could find out if we were going to go to auction, we had to decide on the preempt offer, which meant we went into several days of negotiations on that preempt offer, threatening to take it to auction if they didn't give us what we wanted. And that all actually got settled on a Saturday morning right before Jessi's launch of Moonglass, when I was driving up to Crystal Cove. And so, like, I mean, seriously, I had to leave by like 1 p.m. to get to your launch, and I think we finalized it at 12:30. And so I just sort of drove there in like a daze, like, I just sold 3 books, I don't know how this happened. And got to Jessi's launch and was like, I know this is your day, but I have to tell you something. So I totally forgot about that. But yeah, I went to her launch party, and I think she was even gracious enough that afterward, like, we did like a little toast at your house or something, like, to celebrate that. Yes, we did. So that.
Well, I wasn't smart enough like Morgan, and I didn't take the day off work. We started to get...
You also cared about your job, right?
No. See, I worked in this horrible cube farm, high corporate, like the worst, like office space based on my job. And I hated it, and I was just like, so I was in my cube, and we had a couple of offers coming in, and my agent was starting to set up an auction. And every time we had the system where he would email me, and then I'd have to go in my, on our floor we had like this little Superman phone booth, which was the only place you could make a call with any privacy. And so I kept running into there and closing the door. And then I'd have to, so finally that happened, and he's like, okay, you need to call me right away. So I ran in there, and he's like, okay, I have really bad news for you. And I was like, oh no, it's true, they found out I can't write, they found out I'm bad, they're canceling everything. And he's like, you can no longer call yourself an unpublished author. And Little Round had come through with the preempt on 24th Summer. And so I was freaking out, but there was no one I could tell it with because they're all like so stuffy and corporate and angry. And so I walked out of, I was all happy, and I walked out of the phone booth, and I was just like, so as soon as I could, I called my husband and called my friends and stuff like at lunch. And then that night, a couple of girls from work that were not on my floor took me out for martinis. And then the next day, my husband took me to our restaurant, Argentinian restaurant dinner, and we just like in Denver, and we just stuffed ourselves with empanadas and wine and everything.
sell a book as like that, you know, it's a party, although it's always just a party by myself because I'm always alone when it happens. My very first sale was probably the least exciting one because even though it was the first one, I was also working at like a place where I was just sitting in my cubicle and yeah, and like every day it's like. But I had told the one lady I worked with, I was like, I gotta go to my car, I gotta make a call, and so I went and I made the call and I found out, you know, I sold my first series and I came back in and she had, while I was gone, she cut up little pieces of just like regular paper and then like threw it at me when I walked in. I was like, congratulations. I was like, okay, thank you, that's awesome. But it was for my next series, I Need So Beautiful. That was kind of my big, exciting moment. And I was dropping my kids off at school and I was in my pajamas, actually I was in my robe because I'm that mom. And if my car ever broke down on the way to school, I'd be in trouble. And I was coming home and my agent called and we had just sent the book out like 8 days. And I pull into the driveway and or the garage and I lower the garage door with the car still running, so I'm surprised I didn't I answered the phone and he told me the offer and I just sat there and I was so excited that I just cried and I didn't celebrate at all. I just cried and cried and cried. And I went inside and I called my mom and she's like, can I borrow some money? And I was like, this wasn't the reaction I expected. But that one was really, really exciting because it was kind of like a down, you know, when you're in this career for a long time, you have your ups and downs and I was at a real down and that was like so exciting.
The most structured person because I have in my office like almost a whole wall that's just corkboard and it's divided into like 9 squares that are like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 of the story, and I use like color-coded Post-its, and it kind of looks like one of those like cop shows where where they're looking for the killer because I use like thread. I do, and I have pictures too and stuff.
It's really
and so
impressive.
I was like, so it is big, and it came in really handy for Golden because I've got 2 storylines, so it was very color-coded and pretty. And I was telling Sarah about it, and she's like, there's a spreadsheet for that, you know? Okay, I haven't taken a leap to the spreadsheet, but I'm an outliner for sure. I don't outline every single scene, but I know always the beginning, the end, and then like 3 or 4 big scenes in between. And they may not have to be big turning points, they could just be like a really romantic scene or like a place that's stuck in my head. Like in honor, there's this place where they go scuba diving in Cenote, which is like an underground cave, and I knew I wanted to put that in there, so that was like one of the first things that went on the cork